Hello, and welcome to the Education Exploration Hub. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Dylan. This is Easy English Conversation, the podcast where we speak clearly and naturally to help you improve your English, one real-life topic at a time.
That's right. And today, Dylan, we are asking a question that I think everyone thinks about at some point. It's a big one.
I love big questions. What is it?
Are you living your dreams?
Wow, okay, we're starting deep today. No warm-up question about coffee or the weather?
No warm-up today, straight in, because I think this is the question that so many of us carry in the back of our minds. So I'll ask you first, Dylan. Are you living your dreams?
That's a really good question. I think I'm living a version of my dreams, but when I was a kid, my dream looked very different. I thought living my dream meant being famous or having a lot of money. Now I think it's more about feeling fulfilled. What about you?
I love that word, fulfilled. For me, I used to think living my dream was a destination, like a finish line. I thought, one day I'll arrive, one day I'll be happy, one day I'll be living my dream.
Right, and that one day never comes, does it?
It never comes because life is happening right now. So for me, living my dream isn't about reaching a final goal. It's about whether my daily life feels meaningful. And I can honestly say that right now, recording this podcast with you, talking to English learners around the world, this feels meaningful. So in that way, yes, I am living a part of my dream.
I think that's such an important point for our listeners because sometimes people hear live your dream and they think they need to quit their jobs, sell everything, and move to a beach somewhere.
Which sounds nice, but
that's not realistic for most people. And actually, that's not the only way to live your dream. So let's break this down. What does living your dream actually mean, and how can someone start moving toward it, even if they feel stuck?
Yes, let's do that, because I think a lot of people feel stuck. They have a dream, but they don't know how to start, or they're afraid to start.
Fear is the biggest barrier, I think. Fear of failure, fear of what people will say, fear of wasting time.
Absolutely, and I know that fear personally, so maybe I should share my own story because it might help someone who's listening.
Please do.
Okay, so for a long time, I had a dream that I barely admitted to anyone. I wanted to be a writer, not a famous writer, just a writer, someone who writes things that matter. But I was working in a bank.
A bank, really?
Really. And it was a good job, stable, good salary, my parents were proud. But every morning when my alarm went off, I felt this heavy feeling in my chest. I wasn't living my life, I was living someone else's idea of a good life.
That heavy feeling, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like you're wearing clothes that don't fit.
That's a perfect way to describe it. So for about 2 years, I just felt stuck. I would come home from work, exhausted, and I would watch TV and tell myself, maybe next year, maybe when I save more money.
So what changed? What made you finally take a step?
Honestly, it was a conversation with a friend. She said something that really hit me. She said, Sophia, if you keep waiting for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. You don't have to quit your job, just start. Do something small.
That's such simple advice, but it's powerful.
It was, so I started waking up 1 hour earlier every morning, just 1 hour. And in that hour, I would write. I didn't tell anyone, it was my secret hour. And those mornings, they changed my life.
Because you were finally doing the thing that mattered to you.
Exactly. And after a few months, I had written several short stories. I started sharing them with friends, then I started a blog. And slowly, I built a new path. Now I'm a freelance writer. I make less money than I did at the bank, but I feel richer. I feel like myself.
That's such a beautiful story, and I think the lesson is so clear. You don't have to jump, you just have to start.
Yes, start small. Start imperfectly. Just start.
I want to share my story too, because it's a little different. For me, my dream was always about connection. I grew up in a very small town, very quiet, and I always felt closed in. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to talk to people from different cultures.
And now you do that every day.
I do, but my path wasn't straight either. I had a lot of fear. I was afraid to travel alone. I was afraid to speak to strangers. I was afraid my English wasn't good enough.
But your English is perfect.
Thank you, but it wasn't always. I made so many mistakes, and I still make mistakes. But I learned that people don't care about perfect grammar. They care about connection. They care about whether you're trying.
That's so important for our listeners, especially those who are learning English. So many learners are afraid to speak because they're afraid of making mistakes.
Exactly, and that fear stops them from living their dream. If your dream is to have conversations in English, you have to be willing to make mistakes. Mistakes are not failure, mistakes are practice.
I love that. Mistakes are practice. Okay, so we've talked about our stories. Let's give our listeners something practical. If someone is listening right now and they feel stuck, they have a dream but they don't know where to start, what can they do?
Let's give them 3 small steps, simple things.
Okay, I'll start with step 1. Define your dream. Don't just say, I want to be successful. That's too vague. What does success look like for you? Be specific. For example, I want to start my own small bakery, or I want to have a 5-minute conversation in English without feeling nervous.
Specificity is so important because when your dream is specific, you can see the path. Okay, step 2?
Step 2 is something I learned from my own experience. Start with 15 minutes or even 5 minutes. You don't need to change your whole life today. If your dream is to write a book, write for 15 minutes. If your dream is to learn English, study for 15 minutes. Consistency is more powerful than intensity.
That's the micro-action method. I love that. Small actions done consistently create huge results over time. Okay, step 3.
Step 3, find your people. This is so important. When you're trying to live your dream, you need support. You need people who understand you. If your dream is to learn English, find a community of English learners. Talk to them, practice together. The Education Exploration Hub is one place, but there are many. When you have a community, the journey is less lonely.
I completely agree. When I started this podcast, I was terrified. But having you as a co-host and knowing that there are listeners who are on the same journey, that makes all the difference.
It really does. So let's pause for a moment and check in with our listeners. Maybe your dream isn't to change your career. Maybe your dream is something smaller. Maybe your dream is simply to feel more confident or to finally start that hobby you've been thinking about for years.
Or maybe your dream is to travel, or to move to a new city, or to have deeper relationships.
All of those are valid dreams. And here's the thing, you don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the perfect time. The perfect time doesn't exist.
That's a hard truth. We always think, I'll start on Monday, I'll start next month, I'll start after the holidays. But Monday never comes.
So what do? We start today, not tomorrow, today.
Okay, so let's make this really practical for our listeners. Let's give them a challenge.
I love challenges. What's the challenge?
The challenge is this. In the next 24 hours, do one small thing toward your dream. One small thing. If your dream is to learn English, listen to this podcast again and write down 5 new words. If your dream is to start a business, write down one idea. If your dream is to get healthier, go for a 10-minute walk.
One small action. That's it. Because one small action leads to another small action. And before you know it, you're moving.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. We need to talk about fear again because fear will try to stop you.
Fear is so loud. It tells you you're not ready, you're not good enough. What if you fail?
And my answer to that is, what if you succeed? What if you try and it works?
That's a beautiful reframe. Fear focuses on the worst-case scenario, but what about the best-case scenario?
Right. And also, failure is not the end. Failure is information. It tells you what didn't work, so you can try something else.
Every successful person has failed many times. The difference is that they didn't stop.
They didn't stop. They kept going. So if you try something and it doesn't work, that's not a sign that you should give up. It's a sign that you should adjust your approach.
I want to share one more thing. This is something I tell myself when I feel afraid. I say, Sophia, you can be afraid and still do it. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is just a feeling.
That's powerful. Fear is not a stop sign. It's just a feeling, and feelings change.
Yes, so let's bring this back to our listeners. Maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, this is nice, but my situation is different. I have responsibilities. I have a family. I can't just chase a dream.
That's a real concern, and we're not saying you should be irresponsible. We're saying you can start small. You can find tiny moments in your day, 15 minutes, 1 hour a week. You don't have to quit your job or abandon your responsibilities.
Exactly. My dream of writing didn't happen overnight. It happened in small moments, early mornings, lunch breaks, weekends, little by little.
And now you're a full-time writer, but that took years, and that's okay.
That's so important to say. Living your dream is not instant. It's a process, it's a journey.
And the journey itself is part of the dream, because when you're doing work that matters to you, even the hard days feel meaningful.
Yes, meaningful, that's the word. So, Dylan, I want to ask you something. Looking back at your own journey, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to stop waiting. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Just start. Make mistakes. Learn. Keep going.
That's beautiful. For me, I would tell my younger self that your dream doesn't have to look like anyone else's dream. It's yours. It doesn't have to be big or impressive. It just has to be true to who you are.
That's such an important message, because sometimes we compare our dreams to other people's dreams, and we think, well, my dream is small, it's not important. But it is important, because it's yours.
Exactly. So let's bring this to a close with a final thought. To everyone listening, you have permission to start. You have permission to dream, and you have permission to take one small step today.
One small step. That's all it takes.
So here's our question for you. What is one small step you can take today toward your dream? Think about it, write it down, share it with a friend, or leave us a comment.
We'd love to hear from you. And remember, your dream doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours.
Thank you so much for listening to the Education Exploration Hub. We hope this conversation encouraged you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Keep practicing, keep dreaming, and keep speaking English.
We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Bye for now.